Hey, Justin here, and in this video, I'm going to be going over a story without stakes and if it is possible. For this video, I'm going to be going over if it is possible for you to write a story without stakes. Can you make it interesting? Can you make it believable and stuff like that? I had one of my super fans, which thank you very much for the comment, and I tried to get to all the comments and make videos on whatever I can. The next one I'm going to be trying to be working on is kind of like a character arc of Walter White, most likely, and I will also be doing one of the Joker from The Dark Knight. But again, for this question here, is it possible? Can you make an interesting story without stakes? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. So I'm saying yes because it is possible. It is a challenge. It will definitely be challenging, especially because stakes kind of push the story forward. But it is done by focusing on other elements, right? Other elements of storytelling. I want you to know that for the most stories, stakes, again, like I said already, it usually builds up the tension in the narrative, and that usually what's helped push the story forward, whether it's pushing the characters and whatever the characters conflict that they get into. So that's why it makes this a little more challenging than usual because stakes usually build up that tension to push a story forward. So the question is, what can be done to tell a story without stakes? And again, as I was saying, you just focus on different storytelling elements. And now I'm going to be jumping into what those storytelling elements are. Okay, so I'm going to be going over 5 of the elements that you can use to focus on telling a story without having stakes involved. So you're going to be starting off with the first and probably the main one that most people, even when you have stakes, which is the most important, and I have it here, is character depth. Pretty much like a character arc is just making them focusing on the character. Then after that, I have world building. Then you have the style, voice, themes, and last but not least, relationships. This is Creative Writing Lessons. This is where I give you tips and tricks to writing a successful story, especially for beginners. If you're loving this content, don't forget to like and subscribe this video so I can keep pumping out these amazing videos. Alright, let's continue the video. Okay, so the first one is going to be character depth, and again, that is basically making a character multi-dimensional because you want the reader to latch onto your character and root for them, or even if they don't root for them, they still kind of like, oh my god, you get those characters you really disgust and you don't like, and you're always rooting against them, but then sometimes those turn into the best characters, and it makes more people really involved with that character, and that is by focusing on the character depth. So I put here, character depth needs to compel the reader enough to follow the story. So again, if you have a great character already, no matter what the character does, even if there's no stakes, it's just following their day to day. If you get really into depth with your character, people are going to want to read it and continue, or even watch the character and see what their journey is throughout life. So I love world building. I think that's one of the most important things of a story besides creating a character, because if you can get people immersed in the world that you've built and you add all these elements in this world, imagine how many people are going to be just so like swept up and just like at awe of this amazing world you build, whether that's with the fantasy world. Fantasy is probably just one of the easier worlds to work on. You can create dragons and any types of creatures that you want, and by building a world around whatever that idea is without the stakes, right? Just building a beautiful landscape, right? Just having somebody go on a journey through it, whether there's anything bad that happens, maybe it's just focusing on the characters and their journey, how maybe their transformation of a character from here to here is, right? Just think of like these people on a road trip. You build this amazing world and there's dragons and knights in shining armor, but then maybe you have some kind of a weird sci-fi stuff along with it. Imagine telling a story of these people trying to, like, maybe from the future to get stuck into this weird alternate area universe, and they're going through this new world, and you're just seeing all these spectacular things happen. And doesn't have to be stakes, right? You're just focused on all this amazing things that happen here. So as I have here, having an interesting and fascinating world can keep the reader interested. So that's just the reader. Again, this can go for making movies and stuff by just having an amazing world that people are just sucked up in and just like get lost in the world. So I put style and voice together because it could be one in the same, in the sense that, as I put here, using the narratives can enchant your readers, right? If you use perfectly chosen words, right, whether it sounds like with rhythmic, right, poetic, if you use these certain language to talk in and to tell a story, it could almost be like it just flows, and without any stakes involved, it could just be this nice, beautiful, just nice story that you can read and you can fall into a trance or hear being enchanted by it, because the words, the style of voice that they're using could help hypnotize maybe the reader into wanting to follow along because wow, this sounds so eloquent, like I love it. It's almost like reading a poem or prose or whatever, just a long version. It's just very beautiful, and you can do that without having any stakes. Hello there. So I have 2 kids books out of my 4 kids book series, self-published on Amazon. If you want to check them out, the link will be in the description below. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you get these books for free. Okay, so for themes, I added this one because I think that themes are very, very important. I know I'm kind of blocking it, so I will remove myself just a moment. But so I put themes because you want to get these thought-provoking ideas out there, get people to start thinking while watching. You know, a lot of times that really works, and I'm going to disappear right now. But I put here, explore thought-provoking ideas and questions that engage their intelligence. You want to focus on having people, your readers, or even if you're trying to make a TV show, and you don't want to really use stakes, you want to put out these questions that push their intelligence to the max, right? You want them to focus on, oh my God, what is this question, or what are these themes, you know? Because if you get their minds thinking, then the story cannot be a boring story, right? Especially if it's a little bit more difficult. So if you want to explore, again, thought-provoking ideas or questions, it's a great way to use it to tell a story without having stakes in it. So I put relationship as the last one because I'm not really a romantic writer in the sense that I'm working on any romantic novels, right? I do write eroticas and I write superhero stories that I sell on Fiverr and Etsy and stuff. But when it comes to like trying to be romantic, like those novels that are like best selling and stuff, or even if it's just Twilight, you know, like it's not me, so I put it last. But I put here, love and relationships can always bring in their own tension. So you can always show just a typical relationships. Yeah, there doesn't have to be anything at stake. It could just be a day-to-day kind of a love thing. And every relationship's not perfect, so you're going to have these ups and downs. And by going through these ups and downs, you can create some dynamic characters, dynamic points of views of who's right, who's wrong, who's gaslighting, who's not gaslighting. You know what I mean? Whether it's malintent or if it's just like, hey, that's just who the person is, and they just like to be in control. And by, you know, I guess you gaslighting them, but even so, you can build a beautiful like story without stakes, just showing this relationship, whether it goes from like they just meet to them finally getting married, or from them meeting, marriage, and then maybe divorce, or maybe like Up, where it shows a whole entire life of them without any stakes. It's just telling a story, and that builds its own tension there as itself. I really hope this video gave you some more knowledge into how you can write without having any stakes by focusing on, those are just 5 elements. There's more elements you can do, but those are just 5 elements that you can focus on to build a story without having any stakes. You know, again, world building, just give them immersed in this world that's beyond what their imagination can think of, right? Think of what your imagination, think of, I love dinosaurs, think of like a gothic tower with dinosaurs all around it. Imagine that, like, oh my gosh, like just imagine what could happen in this type of world without having any stakes, right? Again, relationships, all relationships are never perfect, and there's always the ups and downs, like a roller coaster, which there's no stakes in it. It's just the tensions and just a natural thing in a relationship. Okay, style and voice, once again, that's just going to be talking about using a certain language, eloquentness, you know, enchant them to get them hypnotized into your story, right? Character depth. You don't want to forget about character depth. For me, I put that as number one because once more, you can't even have a story without characters. At least well-developed characters always are the focus of even stories. Even if you think of stories with stakes and plots, right? You focus on these characters and you go on this journey with them. Excuse me, whether it's a good story, a bad story, not a story, but like good character, bad character, depends if they go from good to bad, bad to good, right? Walter White went from good to bad. So you have characters like that. Anakin Skywalker went from good to bad to back to good again at the end, briefly. So you have these amazing stories because of the characters that you fall in love with, and that's probably for me the number one. And then of course we have those themes, which you want to get the readers to be thinking using their noggin, and that helps tell a story without having any stakes. It's just giving them these thought-provoking ideas and questions that help them like, let me think about that and ponder. And that's a great way to write a story as well. So I hope you like this story. I hope you like this video. I can't wait to see you guys on my next one. If you want to check out some character development, I have some playlists up here with one of my top videos. And then if you just want to watch a certain video, it's probably going to put one of the viewers' videos that are best for you guys. That's with my content. And once more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button above me so I can continue making these great videos, and hopefully they're very informative. If you can, just comment down below what your favorite part of this video was and what kind of a story you're going to be working on next. Alright, thanks guys. I can't wait to see you in my next video. May the force be with you. Always.